Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Very Reasonable Pilots podcast. I'm your host, Charles. Along with me, as always, my co-host, editor, producer, co-pilot, gunner, navigator, orator, and podcasting associate, Jacob Gloth. How you doing today, Jacob?
I am swell, Charles. Excited. Another episode of the podcast. We pitch new TV shows every single week. New storylines, new characters, new plots. Sometimes sci-fi, sometimes fantasy. But usually, Charlie,
we don't know.
You know, last week we mixed up a little bit. We gave you an idea. We came up with that on the top of our heads, but this week we're back to the basics, giving you the characters, the season or the plot outline of a first episode, all that good stuff. And you're coming to us with a new exciting idea that you just came up with recently for a title that I gave you, which was
Phoenix Excrementi. Did you hear that little phlegm I added in the back of that?
I did Phoenix Excrementi, yeah. I'm interested to see what the hell you come up with this, because this is just like a joke that I saw in a book. Yeah. And I was like, I'm going to have Charlie write a title that has a pilot based on this.
It took a really long time, and I ended up not doing a TV show pilot and not doing a movie either.
Oh.
Because we're going to have to change the name of this podcast to Very Reasonable Players, because this is a play, baby. This is a show. This is a 3-act play with an intermission.
Oh my God, you wrote a play? Okay.
I didn't write a play. I wrote the outline for a play.
Okay.
Because writing a play is
a long time,
harder than...
it would take a while. We only do the outline of the film, essentially. So.
Yeah. We do the TV. It's not like we write episodes of TV shows. I've written the outline of a play, very basic outline, and I have like conversations and ideas in my head, right? That will get through in the show, but I could only come up with an idea for Phoenix Excrementi that was a bottle episode. It was the only idea I really felt happy with.
Yeah.
And it's like, you can't have a TV show be a bottle episode. And I was like, oh, well, what if I do a movie? And I'm like, well, no one would like this movie. Like, if I wrote this as a film and marketed it, right, no one would watch it. Because there's nothing, it's all just people talking to one another, and then it ends sadly. And I was like, well, what is
Spoilers.
Also people just talking to one another, and then it's depressing at the end? Oh, a play, right? And so I was like, well, what if I do a show, a play? And so I came up with Phoenix Excrementi, right? Now, I'll get into setting up the story and telling you what's going on first, but or second, but this is the first thing we're going to do is the opening of the show. So, right, house lights go out, everybody sat down in their seats.
I got my popcorn.
The curtains... Yeah, they've got their popcorn or their wine or whatever you have in shows in the theater. The curtain opens up, and we see this gigantic steel step, right? It's just one gigantic steel step that basically goes up half the entire stage. And at the bottom of the stage, right, at the bottom of the step, you see this sort of brown river that's just flowing by the step. And at the top of the step, you see the words in like block letters, as you might see in like a ship or an industrial area, Phoenix, right? Written in like spray painted in, and it's been there for years. And this step is like covered in stains and oil and grease and slime and sludge and whatever, right? It's disgusting. And then a man walks off onto the step, right, from off stage. He, with his back, like, he never looks at the audience. He turns, right, facing away from the audience, drops his pants, squats over the step, right, squats over the stool, and then goes black inward, step over the step, so that his ass is over the brown river that's in front of the step,
Yeah.
And as he does, like, he squats there for a second, black, and then we see, like, projected in light on the bottom half of the step, the words Excrementi, and then we hear just like, bloop, like, that's all we hear.
The kerplunk of the poop.
Yeah, the kerplunk of the poop, right? Black, again, opens up, right? Now I'll get into the story One sec. I had to reach for my notebook. I placed it very far away, right?
Yeah, that's
And
helpful.
so we'll start... Yeah, because I'm a smart guy. I'm a very smart person. We'll start with the step. Again, this is the only set in the entire show. The entire show is taking place on this gigantic steel step.
I like that.
With this brown
like
sludge going underneath of it. Yeah, right? And there's a speaker on the wall of the step, right? Where the guy was standing. There's a speaker, right? And the speaker gets hit with the lights, like the spotlight, and it announces, the Phoenix is a deep-sea mining vessel that has worked unabated for the last 40 years. It is 18 months into a 3-year-long expedition at the deepest depths it has ever ventured towards. Right? The speaker says that. And then the lights cut, right? So now the spotlight is on the speaker and is on the man we saw drop a poop. Now he is like curled up on the ground, like kind of Gollum-esque.
Okay.
Right? He's not looking at the audience. He's like messing with something in his hands. He's kind of looking around very disordered and like jittery and scared. And he's like
just like me
really
right now.
long beard.
I said just like me right now. Just jittery and scared.
He's got it's nerve-wracking, I know. He's got a big beard, right? And his head is completely shaved, right? Lights go on, like the spotlight goes on him, and the speaker announces the Excrementi are the lowest-ranked members of the Phoenix staff, who are responsible for cleaning and clearing all of the waste removal facilities on the ship. Right? So, that's how the show starts, and then we're hit loud, big, loud music. Another guy tumbles onto the other side of the step where he's sitting, right from where the first guy is sitting. And this other guy, he looks very clean. He's clean shaven. He's got a nice hair. He's got he's disheveled because he's just fallen onto this step from we don't know where. And he's disheveled, but he's clean and he's fresh. He stands up, he kind of dusts himself off a little bit, he looks around, grabs his nose. This is a dark comedy, if it wasn't abundantly clear. This is going to be about these guys, coming to terms with life, but also they're going to make poop jokes because
they're
the word
in the
excrement is literally in the name of the show. I can't get away from the poo. Right, he stands up, he kind of adjusts his glasses, gets the dust off his shirt, smells everything, he kind of grabs his nose for a second, shakes it off, and he looks around and he gets freaked out because he sees that there's another guy here and he's curled up in the corner and he looks like a freak, And the guy, or the guy who just landed walks up to him and he extends his hand toward the man who's curled up on the ground. He introduces himself. My name is Dr. Regis Leach. I am a mathematician. I was sent down here unjustifiedly because of some previous mistakes that I've made. Nice to meet you. What's your name? Right? An attempt to introduce himself to this guy. And we're not going to get into it in the story, but we'll find out throughout the show that Regis Leach murdered his wife's lover in a fit of passion, and the lover, the boyfriend, was the CFO of Handyco, which is the largest weapons manufacturer on the ship, and he was well liked by his friends, his family, and his coworkers. And so even though Dr. Leach murdered him for a perfectly good reason, and it was totally justified, he was fucking his wife in his bed, Dr. Leach is subject to the worst punishment that the ship can muster, and that is to be one of the Excrementi, right? And so he tries to introduce himself, and he, extends his hand, and the guy doesn't acknowledge him at all. And Dr. Leach is a little taken aback, and he's annoyed, right? He's a very analytical person. He's a guy who he's very much, his head's in the clouds. He's very theoretical. He's not very practical. He's not really thinking this through. And so he puts his hand on his shoulder, on the shoulder of the crouched man, right, to try and like, hey, buddy, what's up? And the crouched man like darts up, and he's easily half a foot taller than Dr. Leach, and he's like this crazed-looking lunatic. He's got this massive beard, his clothes are tattered, he's covered in stains, his nails are long, his toenails are long, he's just this disgusting, horrible person. And he just starts screaming nonsense at Dr. Leach, like, don't touch me, get away from me, what do you want, why are you after here, like, just rapid-fire nonsense, like crazy people do in movies.
Yeah.
Right? And Leach, like, steps back for a second, then walks forward like, hey, buddy, I just got here. Like, you're an Excrementi. I'm also an Excrementi. Like, you could help me out. And the guy, like, kind of, the crazed man, like, looks up and is like, he sees that Leach is trying to, like, stand up to him. Like, and there's a minor scuffle. They get into a little bit of a shoving match, and it ends with Leach nearly being knocked into the poo river.
Oh, no.
But the other guy grabs him, like, by his shirt collar and pulls him up, right? And we cut. Some time has passed. They are now sitting on either sides of the step, right? And how a lot of this show is going to go is Leach will introduce some wide-reaching, like, very philosophical concept, right? And then the other character, who I haven't introduced yet, his name is Reuben Hacks, and he is a convicted murderer and drug peddler who has been living in the Excrementi for the last 20 years, right? And so how the show's going to go is Leach will introduce a concept, some philosophical concept, and then Hacks will rebut it with a much more practical, realistic way of looking at the world, you know?
Yeah.
And so the first concept, right, that Leach will introduce is there intelligent life? Like, is there intelligent design? Were we created in our in the image of something greater than ourselves, or are we just a result of like random happenstance that occurred throughout this universe? And Leach is a mathematician, and he doesn't really believe in randomness. He believes that there has to be some grand design. There has to be a reason for why things are the way they are.
Yeah.
And that's when Hacks responds with, things are never created to exist. They're created to provide something, supply and demand. And you have to ask yourself, what does our existence, what do we supply? You know? And then that's how the debate is going to go is, well, Hacks will be like, we don't supply anything except possibly entertainment. We aren't producing anything. We are not making the universe better. We are simply existing in it. Why would intelligent life create us if not to accomplish something greater than ourselves? Like, why would we exist if we aren't doing anything? Mm-hmm. And that's when Leach would rebut with, mankind has always worked towards doing greater than itself. And, you know, just back and forth it'd be like, yeah, well, what about the atomic bomb? What about, you know, mapping the human genome, right? That sort of thing, of how these two very different kinds of people would approach the idea of intelligent design.
Yeah.
And that transitions into Hax's big monologue for the show, which is going to be him talking about how he was treated when he was in the world above, right? And that's this is when we introduce to the audience his backstory. I was vermin. I was less than nothing in the world above. My ideas were thrown away. My feelings were disregarded. I was meaningless in the world above. But down here, among the detritus, among the garbage of the world that left me behind, I am God. And that act, this is a 2-act show. I said 3 acts, it's 2 acts. That act, and thus half the show, will end with Dr. Leach looking to him and saying, yes, maybe that is true. Maybe you're right. Maybe that's all God is. Just a madman looking at the detritus of a world that left him behind and laughing.
Boom.
Intermission. We're going to go all...
We go out.
We're
we
all
get our
having a cigarette. Yeah. We're having a wine. We're going to the bathroom. We're getting in an angry argument with an old man in the line of the bathroom.
Yeah, like, I don't really like this thing. My grandson's in it, but I don't really get it. Why do they keep talking about poop?
Why do they love poop so much? Are they poop fetishists? And he's like, Grandpa, you shouldn't know what the word fetishists is. Oh, the lights are going. We have to get back. And then you make it back to the
shuffling
show,
your seat,
right?
you know, trying to quietly open your Kit Kat wrapper, but the curtains have already opened, and now you feel bad because it's crinkling so loud. It's a mess. It's a mess.
Yeah, it's a whole mess. The show opens back up. It's been 2 months. Now they both have big, long beards. And now they're both, like, in this crazy, sort of dirty, tattered thing. And they're kind of both in a sort of more primal, more chimpanzee style of existence. They're both hunched over and more communicating and grunts when a dead body rolls through the poop river. And that's when Hax, like, points to Leech, tells him, like, get it out. And Leech, like, says, no, fuck you. Like, you don't tell me what to do. We're both Excrementi. You're not, like, my superior officer. And there's sort of another scuffle. And finally, Leech is like, whatever. Fine, I'll get it. And he takes out this big pole. And he pulls up this dead body. And he's patting him through, right? He's got, like, maybe a cloth over his nose because the smell is so bad. He's patting his body down. And, that's what Hax is, like, looking over his food. They have, like, these little food packets, like little rations. It's the most disgusting food on board, but it keeps them alive. And he's, like, not paying attention to him. He just asks, like, hey, Leech, is there anything in there? Anything worth anything in there? And Leech, like, he pats him down, and we see Leech take out a small knife from this dead body's pocket, right? And he, like, secrets it away in his inside of his shirt, right? He's, no, this guy doesn't have anything on him. He's, it's worthless, pathetic. And he kicks his body back into the poo river where it, gets pulled away.
Yeah.
And
sludge.
That's, and then they're just sitting there and they're eating their horrible food and they're both kind of miserable. And the best way of telling them two apart is Hax has a bald head and Leech has a full head of hair, right? And we'll see Hax every once in a while. He's got this really, like, small piece of sheet metal that he'll use to scrape his head to keep himself bald. And so every once in a while, just the silence of the Excrementi will be just like will just be him scraping a piece of sheet metal across his head, Just a real, like, really gross and, like, against the grain, and it's really uncomfortable.
Probably,
right?
Maybe we see some blood dripping down.
Yeah, exactly. And then they start talking about the nature of morality, right? And the nature of what is good and what is evil.
Yeah.
And I had yeah, exactly. Like, is morality built into the universe, or is it, just another something that we made up to make society work? Or were we built with this, idea in us that we shouldn't hurt other people, and those who do are violating what is naturally human? And so, obviously, Leech will take the side that morality is built into us. It's a human defense mechanism that we, like, created over millions of years and was put into us by our intelligent creator to keep us alive and keep us, like, together. And then, Hax will come back with, like, I did good and I did evil, and I was never rewarded for the good and I was always punished for the evil, right? Like, if morality is built into everything that we do, then we would live in a moral world, but we don't. We live in a world where good people get punished and bad people get away with shit. And so they kind of have a little bit of an annoyed argument about that. And it finally, like, they both give up and they're like, whatever. Leech is like, I still believe in the fundamental good of mankind. I still believe that we are good and we can be better and we have a right to be better. And Leech just stands by his sort of nihilistic, like, it's all bullshit. It doesn't matter. Who cares if we're good or if we're bad? It doesn't matter. What matters is what is, you know?
Yeah.
And they sort of, like, are, you know, whatever. They're done talking about it, and they're both sitting back, and Hax is scraping his skull again, and you can just hear it. And then you see, right, just floating along the little Pooh River, a little white ball, right? And they're both kind of like, huh, what's that? And they scoop it out. And Leech is the first to look at it. He's like, what is this? It's kind of squishy and it's weird. And then Hax like snatches it out of his hand, right? And it's dripping brown. Like, I want it to be disgusting as hell.
Yeah.
And he like smells it. And then he takes a nibble. It's an egg. An egg? A boiled egg? Someone dropped a boiled egg? Right? And so they both like get really excited and start jumping up and down because it's real food. They get real food. They get real food. This is so exciting. And then they both kind of look at each other like, hey, why do you think you're getting the egg? And Leech starts like, I found the egg. I saw it first. I'm the one who pulled it up. And Hax is like, I've been here longer. I haven't had real food in 20 years, right? You were eating real food last year, you fucking pansy. And all this shit. And eventually they decide to draw straws for it. And so they draw straws for it. It's very tense. The egg is sitting in the middle of the step. Both of them are standing on opposite sides of the step. They pull out their straws. And they realize that Hax got the egg. He won. And so he's really excited and joyful and like bombastic. We have never seen him this like excited. And he takes the egg and he holds it up as Hamlet does a skull. And he begins to recite the poor Yorick speech, right? And as he's about to like get into the second verse, that's when from behind him, Leech runs up, sticks his knife into his heart, right? Sticks the knife into Hax's heart, and he grabs at his neck with his teeth, and he just, like, bites into him. He starts killing him, and there's lights everywhere and sounds. It's crazy. And there's just all this, like, colorful whirlwind of purple and red and black and screaming and all this stuff. And we cut to black. And then we...
Nope.
And then we cut to... Sorry, my cat was...
At the climax, the big moment of the play, the cat comes in and attacks the writer.
Yeah, he blood everywhere. He's stabbing him and he's screaming and he bites into his neck, right? And there's purple and red and all this stuff. Cuts to black. Cut to Leech is sitting there, right? He's curled up in this like Gollum-esque ball, but he's looking out at the audience, and his face and his mouth are covered in blood, right? And it's dripping off of him, and he's eating his egg. And he looks out to the audience. I am the Lord your God. Take of my body and blood, which is given up for you. And he pushes Hax's dead body into the river of poo. End of the show.
Ooh.
Cut to black.
Boom, boom.
That's the show.
I thought you were going to end with another person dropping in. Just as
I was thinking about it, but the thing is, I was doing big twos. Everything was twos, and so I didn't want to add a third just at the very end.
After Hax is killed.
Yeah, I was thinking about it, but I really like ending it on this lunatic man covered in blood and shit eating an egg, saying that he is God. And that this is his body and blood, which is given up for you. And then pushing it, like, I think that's a good way to end. And I was thinking about maybe having him do, like, a Christ on the cross kind of thing, but I think that's a little too far. I just think it's a little on the nose.
For the speech, I like we ended on, but you could also do that line from, that Old Testament line from Pulp Fiction that he says when he's about to shoot the guy. And you will know that I am the Lord, or something like that.
And, yeah, that would be good too. I like it. It just because the body and blood stuff with the dead body I think works. I don't know why I got a real hankering to write about the silence of God. I think it's because I watched Stalker recently. I rewatched Stalker recently, and I watched Red Dwarf, like the first 2 seasons of Red Dwarf, which are all about the silence of God.
Yeah.
And so I'm kind of like, I was like, yeah, let's write about that. No.
I like your show a lot. I thought I like when we do these more philosophical talky shows.
Yeah.
They're kind of fun because we don't really do them very often. A lot of times it's just space battles and shit. But that was really interesting. I like how we don't really learn anything about this world at all. Like we're kind of we're left in the dark, kind of like how the characters are, and we just sort of kind of feel our way through it. And I think there's a lot of room for several different philosophical conversations that then feel like fulfilled with the ending. Like they feel like they contribute to like how we're supposed to feel.
I was coming up with the philosophical conversations and what they would be talking about, like really in the nitty-gritty of it while I was driving. And so it's really hard to like read or Google or research any sort of philosophy when you're driving.
Yeah.
I ended up listening to a YouTube video talking about Grant Morrison's philosophy, but I couldn't work that in to the show.
I think what you did worked really well with like the the sort of what is morality, the why are we here, and the like whether or not God exists, and if he does, how does he exist in this? How does he exist in this world? And I think all that stuff is it all plays perfectly into these two characters' motivations and like how they. And it makes them feel like so high and mighty, but then we go back to like the guttural, visceral fighting for food. Like in the end, they're like the juxtaposition of these like high and mighty conversations with the just absolute destitute motivations and activities that they're doing.
Yeah, and they're covered in shit the whole time. I think it's a cool sort of juxtaposition.
Yeah, it screams of like hermits and. In the cave, just like in rags, just contemplating deeply, but being in such poor states. Yeah.
I also think that I was thinking this on the drive. I was like, if I hadn't used the allegory of the cave, this would be a great allegory of the cave reference show.
Yeah.
But we already did that.
Yeah. Already done.
So,
literally called the allegory of the cave. That show.
Exactly. But
that show's a banger.
Thank you, everyone.
If you're listening right now,
a banger.
Go back to Allegory of the Cave. That show is great. That's one of my. I think that's
a great show.
That's one of my favorite pitches we've ever done. Is Allegory of the Cave. You
I
really
love that
knocked it out of the park with that one. But this one was also very good.
I think Allegory of the Cave is fun. I should re-listen to that. All my old shows, I'll re-listen to you.
In hindsight, it's probably for the listeners. In hindsight, the idea is really good, but our energy might be lower in that episode than it is now. So
that is true. We are higher energy now than we were back in those days. Back in the halcyon days of 2022.
Yeah. That was even early. I think it was 2020.
Was it? Oh, wow. That is early on. COVID times, baby.
Yeah.
Thank you all for listening to the Very Reasonable Pilots podcast. I've been your host, Charles. Along with me, as always, been my co-host, our producer, co-pilot, gunner, navigator, orator, and podcasting associate, Jacob Glaw. Thank you all for listening. I already did that part. If you like what you heard here and you want to hear more, please give us a like, a follow, subscribe, tell your friends, stay friends, and talk to your cat. And remember, we'll be here next week with a brand new television show for you to imagine and enjoy. There will be we didn't do a television show this week, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. You get the idea.
Yeah.
And what's the title, Charlie? Am I doing?
Give us a sec.
So Theater Macabre, I did like part one. Now I guess you could. My thought was that I would just do part two, but you could make me do a different thing if you want to. I guess.
I'm not opposed to you doing a part two because I kind of feel like if you don't do a part two now. You won't do one for like a year, and then we'll get a whole
stuck in a Res Publica
situation
where I've got 2 more seasons set that I need to write.
Yeah, where you have to read a book every time you want to do any more of the show because you don't remember any of the book that you based the show on.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's just say it's Theater Macabre season 2 or season 3 technically.
Is it? How's season 3?
Well, because the joke 2 weeks ago was that you were going to make Season Macabre or Theater Macabre season 2.
I was going to season the macabre. That sounds like a good barbecue.
Yeah.
Food.
Oh, that does
Season
sound good.
Macabre. I want to have some Season Macabre.
fuck up a Season
So next
Macabre.
week on the podcast, you can try some Season Macabre fresh off the grill.
Yum, yum, yum.
It'll be good. Possibly some more noir detective madness. And maybe the title will
knows?
start making sense with the show next week.
I was wondering about that, but I assumed you had it figured out.
It does make sense. I realized after the first pitch, like the first episode of it, that the title makes no sense yet.
I was watching the reel on Instagram, and I was just like, wait a minute. The fuck does this have to do with the theater?
Yeah, well, it'll make sense eventually.
Yeah. All right. Thank you all, and have a good night.